Great. So welcome back to Grade 8 Math. We're now looking at the general formula or general form for an algebraic expression or for a pattern. And so when using a scatter plot, you can now plot this and you can predict what a scatter plot or what the pattern line will look like based on this equation. So when we have an equation and we're given this, it's given 5n plus 300 equals the total amount, where n is our figure number and our total is our term value. What we're looking at is we're looking at different parts of this equation. So there's this part that's attached to the variable. We call this the coefficient. And if you remember, that's the down rule, which means this is how much my answer goes up by with each figure. So every figure will go up by 5 in this case. So this is the coefficient. The coefficient tells you how much it goes up by each time. The 300 is this constant. This is the one that starts at the very beginning. It's what you have when there's no figure number there, and it's basically what you'll start with. Okay, so what this means, we start always with the constant because there's no variable, which means when n is 0, which means with no figure, I am starting at 300. So that means I will always start with 300 no matter what at figure 0. So the constant tells you my start point at figure 0. So when n is equal to 0, where does it start? So it starts at this point. Now our coefficient is the down rule, and this tells us how steep it will be. The higher the number, the more steep it is. And then the coefficient sign, so which means the number in front of the coefficient. So in this case, this is any number is a positive number if there's nothing in front of it. So this means go up by 5 each figure, starting at 300. So the coefficient sign tells you whether or not you are increasing or decreasing. So this one, if I read this out in words, this means goes up by 5 each time or each figure, starting at 300. So that's how I read that. So it basically will look like that. Now this one, I read it slightly different. This one's I'm starting at 300 again, but now I see this minus sign, which means I'm going down by 5 each time. So this one says goes down by 5. The reason why it says goes down is because it's got a minus sign. It has a minus sign there. I have disappearing letters. Goes down by 5 each time. Starting at 300. So I'm starting at 300 again, and now the minus sign means go down by 5 each time. So starting at 300, I go down each time. So by looking at an expression, I can change it into words. So practice with a couple of equations. What does it mean? So if I write a couple of other ones in class, you should be able to figure out, for example, 10n plus 50. What does that mean? What does 5,000 minus 20n, what does that mean? And so by looking at the general rule and how it's written, you should be able to convert that into words every single time you look at the pattern. So try this out with a couple of patterns yourself. We'll also try this out in class. So hopefully you understood this quick lesson.